After weeks of enduring the frustration of lockdown, the whole country is anxiously awaiting the Prime Minister's big announcement tomorrow, expecting a further easing of restrictions in time for the weekend and, more importantly, for Mother's Day. To discuss, I'm joined by Tasmanian Senator Jacqui Lambie and Stellar Magazine's Sarah Lamarquin. Jack, to you first. I mean, we all want to get on with our lives, providing that we're all safe, but what are you looking for from the Prime Minister tomorrow, and what impact could it have on your state?
Well, for me, we're actually following the Premier's advice down here in Tasmania, and we're doing that very, very carefully. But I will say I do want to let my mother know that we still do not have the shops here, and getting her fluffy slippers this Sunday, even if I can see her, she probably won't receive a gift. So I thought I'd get in early just so she knows that.
Good heads up, Jacqui, yeah. Sarah, we saw...
Yeah, thank you. But for us, we're just following the Premier.
Go ahead, Jacqui, go on. You're following the Premier's advice?
Yeah, sorry. So for us, we're just watching what the Premier's saying and doing. We're watching the numbers each day as they come. And certainly he's out there giving us direction every 24 hours, and that's very big of him, and that's been extremely helpful through the whole epidemic. So we'll just see what happens over the next few days. But I'm really hoping, I haven't seen my mum for 6 weeks, so it'd be really lovely just to be able to walk up and give her a big hug.
Oh, well, indeed. I can see you're prioritising her, which is the right thing to do, Jacqui. You've got big brownie points there. But, Sarah, we saw these restrictions on gatherings ease slightly last weekend, particularly on the Gold Coast. It had a huge effect there. Now, would you like to see that extended just in time for Mother's Day, or are you cautious that we could actually just go to town and ruin the whole thing by everybody getting out at once?
Oh, look, I think it would be absolutely wonderful if we could see families getting together. What a great gift that would be for mums across the country. It's very important that people are able to deliver those fluffy slippers in person. I think my biggest reservation on this, though, is about the grandparents, so the older generation. And I know anecdotally, as you say, DC, restrictions were lifted last weekend, but there were certainly a lot of people that were still reluctant to go and visit older Australians and older relatives, because we know that that is such a vulnerable demographic. So I think we'll see a few people like myself still exercising caution this weekend.
We will indeed. Let's move on to a big sports story this morning, and the NRL is facing yet another hurdle threatening the season return in just 21 days' time. Several players refusing to comply with the league's compulsory vaccination policy. Sarah, the NRL, they're in a tough bind here because they want to get this game on and open again, but these few handful of players, that you could call them a cluster if you want, anti-vax players, saying they're not going to get the jab.
I think the NRL has to take a really difficult stance here, and it's time to abolish that little loophole, that waiver that gives people the right to exercise their opportunity to say, I'm not going to vaccinate. I mean, people say, hey, it's my body and I'm welcome to exercise my individual freedom. Yes, you are, and the NRL as an organisation is also welcome to exercise its freedom to say no. Now, I worked on the No Jab, No Play campaign in 2013. I feel very strongly about this. It's such a communal responsibility on all of us. And the data is very clear on this. If you get the flu, you are at more risk of contracting coronavirus. And not only that, it would be much worse. Everyone's got a role to play here. Surely we've been reminded that as a society this last few weeks. And look, I'd love to see the NRL go ahead, but if these people aren't going to do their bit, then it should go ahead without them.
Jacqui, the Prime Minister also worked on the No Jab, No Play policy. These players here, if they do get a flu, then they get coronavirus, they risk upending all the hard work of getting the NRL back on in the first place because they're standing on ceremony. What do you think?
Look, I think it is their responsibility to go and get that flu shot. There's no doubt about that, unless they're having an adverse reaction and get an exemption from a doctor, just like the No Jab, No Pay. I'm certainly, you know, I just don't. I think they have to lead by example here, and if they're not going to do that and they've got no medical exemption for that, then guess what? No jab, no play. It's as simple as that. And I think we have to be really strict on that, and so does the NRL. They have to follow through with their threats. It's no good sitting out there. You just have to leave them on the sidelines. They have to make that decision themselves. But it's not just their lives that are at risk when they're travelling, it's others as well.
That's the thing. If we start opening up the states, there's an even greater risk of things being, transported. And, when the rest of the country's been in lockdown, Sarah, this is what I feel about this. I feel a little bit angry with this cluster of players going, well, look, we've all done our bit. You've got the privilege and you know, of going back to the thing that you love, the passion that you love. The fans are waiting for you. Everybody's waiting for you. They want to back you. And you're like, yeah, but I'm just not going to do this. It is extremely privileged, and there's a bit of ego involved there too, like you know more than scientists.
That's right. That's at the heart of the anti-vaxxer movement, is that there is this willingness to reject science and to think that you know better than the scientific and medical community. And I think the thing here, DC, is that we are so privileged that because we have grown up in a time where measles and whooping cough and polio have been consigned to the history books, and that is only because of vaccination, and it's only because everyone did their bit. And it's really selfish and irresponsible.
All right, let's quickly move on, because they're calling this one Room with a Poo. The ultra-compact one-room Sydney apartment, look at it, isn't it gorgeous? On the market for $380 in trendy Surrey Hills, all those cafes there, providing you don't mind having a toilet right next to your bed. Sarah, it's nice to know that even in this COVID crisis, some things never change. Sydney's property is still insane.
Oh, welcome to Sydney. I mean, that is Sydney right there. I've got the beautiful harbour view here behind me, but I think for a lot of people that live in the harbour city, that's the view. I mean, imagine living in isolation if you were there. Everyone's going a little bit stir-crazy with their family and their housemates. At least some of us have the privilege to retreat into a self-contained bathroom with non-glass doors. But this is in Surrey Hills. I actually work in that suburb, and I rent a car space, which is actually only about a fifth of the price of that property. So, yeah, like I say, for the rest of the country, count yourself lucky that you're not living in Sydney.
Jacqui, I've done some digging for you. For the same price where you are in Tasmania, you can rent a stunning period home with views over the water. You wouldn't move to Sydney for quids, would you, Jacqui?
I've got a staffer looking at that house to move in there. How bizarre is that this morning? And you know what? You think there's
already taken
issues with us Tasmanians down here, mate. At least we're not running around with toilets in our kitchens, and at least you can do the right thing and put it in a pantry.
Put it in the pantry. Oh, man, you do not want to go for the herbs and spices in the pantry. All right, Jacqui Lambie and Sarah Markland, great to have you company this morning. Thank you both so much.